Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to our new show. Uh, I am Mr. Mark Nall from Peak Martial Arts. I'm here with Mr. Hyatt. We just got done this weekend with our second episode of the Team Six Sparring League, where we had the Snow Leopards and the Black Bears face off. And what we're looking to do with this new show is to kind of analyze it and break it down even more kind of from an instructor or coach's perspective, and give each of the combatants on each side things that they can work on and use to improve, um, and just kind of be a coach for them. The whole purpose of this Team Six Sparring League, there's a lot of different like reasons for doing it, but the biggest reason is just to get better at competition, get better at training, get better at taekwondo as a whole. And so this is just going to kind of go a long way in accomplishing that goal. How you doing, Mr. Wright?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good. You ready to dive into this?
Yes, sir.
Now, I do want to kind of remind everyone that we only have the one angle that we're looking at through the camera. So a lot of my analysis is going to be just from what I see from this angle. However, that's one of the big benefits of Mr. Hyatt here is he's going to be, he was out there judging and he's actually watching the other angle. So he's not only going to get to, have to go off his memory of the match at that angle, but now he gets to see the other side too.
Right.
And we're going to be kind of talking about those differences and whatnot as we get into it. So here we go. Let's dive in. All right. So we're going to start off. We're going to do both matches of Liam versus Kenzie. So this is the what I call like the upper bracket, I guess. It's the older kids sparring. And one thing that I want to make very, very clear right off the bat is that there are no team captains. There are no coaches for these teams. I'm not saying somebody can't, be a leader on their team and try to help everybody. But there are no like actual like team captains or leaders. However, that being said, if there were to be a team captain or team leader, it'd probably be the people who are sparring in this group, Liam, Kenzie, and Spencer. And it has nothing to do with like rank or experience. It's more just that they're the older kids and they're sparring at a higher level, so they can see more and help their team more.
Right.
Anybody can do that, though. Anybody can be that leader. So, so that's one thing that I'm going to be talking about is, all right, as a teammate, this is what you could be telling your teammates while this match is going on and whatnot. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're jumping into the first match, and this is Kenzie versus Liam. Now, I remember Liam being extremely defensive for the majority of the match, and Kenzie being extremely aggressive.
Right.
Which I really liked seeing from Kenzie because last week, we had the Red Pandas, and Spencer is also very aggressive, and so Kenzie had to play defensive during that one. And I think what really wins the league
right
is being versatile, being able to switch it up.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about both Liam and Kenzie are their footwork. Their footwork is really phenomenal. It's you've got to have good footwork to be a good sparrer. And if you watch their footwork, it is very impressive.
That's the difference between the levels. So you're going to see, them and then Spencer bouncing a lot more, moving, using the ring, and that's what you're not going to see in the other two divisions as much. And we're going to talk about that because we need to see that. That's what you can create advantages by moving around the ring pretty well.
Right.
Now, one thing that I will say is different between them that I would bring up is that Liam doesn't ever really change his stance. He spars from the same position the whole time.
Yeah, Olympic guard. Yep.
Well, it's not really. I mean, it's kind of modified Olympic guard.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, he doesn't switch it up. So if you watch, like, all of his strikes are the same. He strikes from the same. Like, he'll strike different areas. He'll strike high, he'll strike low, but they all come from the same place in the same spot. Whereas, like, you see Kenzie switching her feet a lot, switching the place
Mhm.
with the weapon, and like that versatility. Like I said, versatility is going to be key in the match between these three.
Right.
So that's something that, as a coach and as an instructor, that I would say, all right, Liam, you got to start kind of moving around more. You got to make her scared that the six can come from other directions.
Exactly. Yeah, he trying to see that footwork here, right? The oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah, that was the whole first match right there.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. All right.
Yeah. So now we're gonna jump ahead to their second match. Right here. Here we go. This is their second match. Now Kenzie's down here, and so Liam's already defensive, but he should have played like even more defensive. Like everything he should be doing, it should be going backwards, in my opinion.
Right.
You have such a substantial lead, and Kenzie is definitely a point getter for her team.
Most definitely.
You know, the teams are, in my opinion, very well balanced. And you have some people on your team that are going to be point getters. And you have some people on your team that need to be point sustainers.
Right.
And Liam getting aggressive here, it's kind of mixing it up on, which is good. I mean, again, not mixing up your stance, not mixing up where your weapon's coming from, but you're mixing up your pace. But at the same time, you don't need to be doing that. You need to be trying to make her miss and kill time, so you keep your lead.
Yeah, he it's almost like he's staying aggressive even when he had the lead. Like you said, he needs to be more defensive and just kind of lost the weapon.
There's so many dropped weapons.
I know, like 6 or 7 total, and it was yeah.
And that was a 3-point swing right there for the drop weapon. I don't know what that was, but everyone was dropping weapons. Let's see, like I'm gonna pause it. I want to go back and watch that again. This style of sparring, which we see a lot, is where the reaction is both go in. That
right. Yep.
Like you should really be trying not to do that. You should either be trying to beat to the punch or evade and counter.
Right.
We'll see this in some of the other matches. If you just keep going, it's very 50-50 toss up. Depends on where the judge are. Depends on who your judges are. Depends on the rain that day. Like it's very 50-50 toss up on who's actually going to get those points. So just kind of trying to like trade strikes isn't a very good strategy for I guess securing your victory. Like
right.
You don't really want to trade strikes back and forth like that. Got any thoughts?
I mean, just hitting off of that, it's more like you said. You can't. You don't want to. It's more of a you gotta evade and counter. You don't want to be too aggressive, but you want to kind of, I guess, kind of keep your distance. Am I saying that right? And make them come after you, and then hopefully they miss, and then you can kind of counter from that. I don't know what the drop weapon was. It went actually in the air going behind him, so I don't know exactly what happened there. But yeah, I'm just seeing still it's just a little bit too much aggression, in my opinion, from Liam with the lead. If it was me, I'd kind of play back, kind of wait for her to come in.
All right, playing here. Got that in this match. Now, Kenzie is doing extremely well in these matches. She's racking
most definitely.
She's got a lot of really good speed in that first end. What I would like to see her do now is start trying to work on things.
Yeah.
Because like you're winning these, but like again, it's sometimes very 50-50. About who happens to be seen. Right there. There's 2 points for Liam because y'all kind of hit at the same time.
Right.
Whereas, if you can start setting up, making them miss, making them think you're going to come in and kind of get these fakes going, you can really start racking up points.
Did I just see her? Something I might need to point out is she almost had 3 points of contact on the ground at one point. It seemed like right there.
Yeah.
And once you have 3 points of contact, I don't think you're eligible to score. Correct?
So here, that's an old rule in the old organization.
Okay.
However, in GTMA, that is not a written rule. It's kind of a judgment call. That wouldn't be that big of a deal because it was a controlled kind of put down. If you're like falling or rolling on the ground, then you're not going to get points for doing that. But like, it was very controlled, so she'd still be getting the points for that. Yeah. And so that wraps up the match between Kenzie and Liam. My final thoughts watching this, if I was on Team Snow Leopards right now, I'd be telling Liam, one, when you have a lead, when your team's got a lead, recognize that and change your style. Like you can push and make that lead bigger too,
right.
But you're already a defensive spar, so I would lean in a little bit more to that. But you got to switch it up because the problem whenever if you do the exact same stance, the exact same style of strike for all 4 minutes, it gets easier and easier to read. So you got to be able to mix up your strikes, mix up your angles, mix up your footwork. So that's what I would work on going into your next couple matches. For Kenzie, I would start, your burst and everything in your speed is extremely good. So I would start trying to play a little bit more mind games. Try to start faking and baiting.
Right.
And because the next thing to kind of demoralize your opponent is by just making them have no idea what's going to happen in your match. I've won a lot of matches, just by doing that. And whenever you start second guessing yourself, you start slowing down, and that's like if you can make them second guess themselves, you get a lot of points. So I would start working on things. What you got for them?
Both of them, I would like to see more of what we've been doing in class: the bursting in, the fake, and then burst in, leading off that front foot. I didn't really see that from either one of them. And that's a very new concept. That's something I've been working on and still trying to put it together and make it to where it's effective. But just more like you said, fakes, definitely more pump fakes. Try to get a reaction to see what they're going to do, and then strike and counter as you need to. But yeah, definitely more pump fakes from both of them, both parties.
All right, so now we're gonna watch Rashawn versus Ron. And here we go. So this is Rashawn versus Romby. This one like I was a little bit disappointed on some of these because like just that very first strike. Obviously, this is where you're gonna get to weigh in a lot more because from our angle when you watch this very first exchange. To me, it's so clear that the judges from this side should have given the points to Ron. Because as you play this out, they go here, right?
Yeah.
Lewis cannot see
Rashawn
Rashawn's strike.
Yeah.
Doesn't know if it's blocked, doesn't know if it's contact, doesn't know. Right. And so this is where, we got to work on as judges is make sure we're judging, what we see, not what we think
not what we
see,
hear.
Not what we hear, not what like is it, even implied. You have to see it make contact with the scoring zone. So like to me, I'm not saying Rami would have won or Rashawn would have won, but like I thought from our point of view, Rami should have gotten a lot more points just because of that concept alone. However, the best way is just to beat them to the strike. So
Right.
But yeah, so that was number one. Rashawn got the point there. I didn't quite agree with that. Same right there. Like I feel like you gave it to Rami, they gave it to Rashawn. Like
Right.
it's the placement of all these strikes. It's if you can't see where the strikes are. Oh, by the way, yeah, right there, you didn't actually call anything. You just kind of kept your hands. Right?
Well, I crossed them. I said break, but then I crossed them. So no, didn't like it.
All right,
In
make
the
it
heat
a
of the
little
moment,
bigger maybe next time. Yeah.
yeah, in the heat of the moment, I called it, thinking I was like, oh no, it wasn't a good strike. So I just said, no point.
So the thing about this match is like, what I really liked is Mr. Cantrell. Can't remember if it was in the first match or the second match. He brought up a really good point. Is there's not a lot of change up in this, right?
Right.
What you have to realize is like if you think you're losing your match, you gotta change what you're doing, right? Ron, if you watch, they do the exact same thing over and over again. They do the exact same strikes every single time. There's very, very little mix up to it. And because of that, Rashawn's pulling ahead. And
Right.
Rashawn mixed up there and he got scored on, right? He's doing this blocking arm, or what? He's doing this blocking arm strike, blocking arm strike, blocking arm strike the whole time, right? He's about to do it again. Blocking arm strike gets another point. Actually, Rashawn gets another point. Blocking arm strike gets another point.
Yep.
Right now, here he changes. You're getting points. Don't change.
Right.
Right. It should be on Rami to change. And
exactly.
This is where like what I would tell Rashawn is to work on something else other than that blocking strike to the leg.
Right.
I would work on something else. However, if it's working, don't fix it. Like
if it's money in the bank, it's in the bank. Yeah. Just don't fix what's not broken. Keep doing it. Yeah.
It's on Rambi right now to change the fight, but it's not changing. She's kind of going for the same thing over and over again, and that's where we would need to start working on. See again, right there.
Yep.
That could have been a point for her, just based on the judges. Now, was it like as far as going on like sound and everything? Was it like real obvious that Rashawn was getting the points first, or
to me it was? It's from my point of view on this. When I was the leading judge on this, it was very clear. Like Rambi was hitting just a second behind Rashawn.
That's whenever they don't just clash, Rambi gets the point, right? But whenever she walks up and just clash, Rashawn gets the point. And so this is things you got to think about.
Yeah, she got two there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is I'm seeing. I didn't really tell from the video here, but Rashawn was getting, when they were clashing, he would have a follow-up strike.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was seeing. He didn't get it off the first hit; it was off the follow-up.
All right, so this is their second match.
Okay.
And see, even if you're going on that concept, then these judges over here should maybe be calling for Rambi because again, where can you see? Like,
you can't really see.
That's my biggest thing is like Mr. Lewis here. Like, how can you see where that's landing?
Right.
Even if you know it hits, right? Like, even if you hear it hit, it could have hit the chest, it could have hit the chin. You don't know that.
Right.
You still can't give appropriate points because you don't know for certain, what happened. I do know she hits that blocking arm all the time, though. This is where Robbie needs to just switch it up. Now, whenever we spar on Friday nights with Robbie, I'm always working her footwork. Her and
Yep.
her and Kai both. I'm always working her footwork. And if you notice that she doesn't use her footwork in this match.
Yeah, back it up about 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
Maybe 15 seconds. A little bit more. I think what I saw was I thought I saw her legs cross.
Well, even if they're not crossed, it's a really good, like, look where her feet are.
Yeah.
It's
just stand. It's like a chimbi stance. It's just a stand.
Well, it's not even that. It's just standing. Like you're literally just standing up, and you're not really in a stance. Your feet aren't ready to go. So if you watch whenever she starts, we talk about this in class all the time. Like whenever you're running a race, the two hardest things to do is to start and to stop.
Yep.
Unless you're in that like sprinter stance. But if you're just like, all right, let's start running, it takes a second for you to like build that speed. And this is kind of what I'm talking about is she's having to take these steps. Her weapon comes behind her, and Rashawn's beating her to the punch.
Right.
Like just kind of standing. That's hard to win with whenever that's the case.
Yep. Oh, there's another dropped weapon. Oh no.
I tell you what, our students had butter on their hands.
Something.
It's nerve wracking. you gotta win.
Yep.
I think now actually Rashawn is actually changing up his sparring. He's evade and now he's countering.
Yep.
I mean, Robbie got that one there, but
he blocked and counter. He blocked that hand and then countered.
And it's that same strike over and over again. And even that side of the strike there, like when you're just walking up, you're gonna get hit. You can't just walk up on people. You got to work your way in. You got to footwork.
It's like you were telling me when you're standing, then it's easier to see what I'm fixing to do. When I'm kind of hopping, kind of light on my feet, I'm more unpredictable.
Now, I will say though, like we're talking a lot about needing to do this, needing to do that, but even in this match, I said it on the stream. Robbie was able to make some explosive plays.
Oh yeah,
hit and get those 2-point shots. Like this wasn't like a bad match at all. So
no, very close match.
It was still a very, very good match. But like if you can combine that kind of person, your length. Robbie, think about how tall you are compared to both Rashawn and Dion.
Yep.
Who's your other competitor? Think about how tall you are compared to them, and you don't have to get close to them at all. You got the length, you got the reach. You should be like kind of using that and staying away from them. You shouldn't really be running toward them. So after this, that's what I would tell you to work on is how far away can you be while hitting them. If you can figure that out and work on that along with your footwork, then you're going to find a lot more success in these matches. Whereas Rashawn, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
But, you do need to practice a little bit with something else because if your opponents do decide, do catch on and start changing it up, well, it's on you then to adapt again.
Yep.
So, having another sort of strategy, something in your wheelhouse is extremely important. You got any final thoughts on for these two?
Man, just exactly what you said. Rashawn just needs to stay with his instinct, that what was working. And definitely you can tell about Ronvi, the reach is a very good point. She's definitely got a little bit longer arms. She's a lot taller. She should use that to her advantage. And definitely try to work on that a little bit more.
All right, so here we go. Here's our last matchup for the night. This is Logan versus Evan. And even before we get started into this, the biggest thing is Evan very much ran out of gas. And there's one thing I am going to point out here. If you look, Rashawn and Robbie are sparring. He still has his headgear on, right? His mouthpiece. And I mean, so do the guys over here. But he still got his headgear on. Like, if you're tired, man, take your headgear off. Take your mouthpiece out.
Breathe.
This match, headgear's on. He spars, and then over here,
took it off.
Now look, now these two after their first match, headgear's now on.
Yeah.
His isn't.
And his is still on. Yeah.
Next match happens. His is still on. These guys have their headgear off. His is still on. And so you're just kind of hampering your recovery like that. So when you got to your second match, and this is where a lot of the things we talked about in this match is going to kind of come from the leaders because these two guys have only been sparring for a month.
Right.
So our teammates, not just one, but both teammates, should be like, look, hey, you can take your headgear off. Checking on them, hey, breathe. Hey, go get some water. Like, when you're not sparring, you can take your headgear off, you go get some water. Like, that's your chance to break and recuperate before your next match.
Exactly. Because I know that face mask hinders your breathing. You're breathing back to your hot area, and so take that helmet off and just kind of take some deep breaths. You still got a few minutes for your next match, so you can definitely take that off.
All right, here we go. The other thing is Evan is also the youngest doing it. So he's in the group of the newest, and of the newest, he's the youngest. Nice. So it starts off pretty well. Like, he's doing good. He's kind of hesitating. He's kind of waiting. There's kind of some trades back and forth. That right there.
I saw that. His head went back. Yep.
So this would have been. I don't know if you said anything. Accidents happen.
Yep.
However, anytime a face hits the headgear, it's always good to make sure that whoever got hit's okay. First.
Right.
And getting hit takes wind out of you.
Oh,
Even if it's an accidental hit, things happen. But that right there takes the wind out of you. So early into his first match, he gets, unfortunate. He goes a little bit too close. Logan goes a little bit too close. Takes a shot to the head. I mean, we have headgear on. We have the face shield on. It's not devastating, but it'll startle you. And that right there now, knocks a little bit of wind out of you.
Yep.
So already we're, burning a lot of fumes in the tank. So as a judge, if you see that, I always like to just stop for a second just to make sure.
Right.
Like, hey, you okay? You good? All right, here we go. Ready? And make sure and then I tell the other person, hey, watch your hand, because that is a prohibited action. That is a penalty. Now it is there's things that fall like that wasn't either one of them. Logan's fault, so it wouldn't be necessarily a penalty against him, but verbal warning is always good. Like, hey, watch that. Now he doesn't do it again for the rest of the match, but that when you get hit, you get some wind knocked out of you, and that just kind of gives them an extra 5 to 10 seconds to kind of get their head back on.
Okay.
See that right there is just and then he kind of comes up, and now he's already moving a little bit slower. You just kind of see it just a little bit slower there. You got to drop weapon. We got to talk about celebrating. That's what celebrate that.
Yeah.
But got a point for Evan for drop weapon. And again, a lot of these are 50-50 trades. Anybody can be getting this, depending on You know, a lot of times when it's 50-50 trades, I don't even call it because, you know, I don't like 50-50s. I like, all right, who, like, solid hits first. If there's a lot of trading going on, then, you know, there shouldn't.
Right.
Like, it should be very definitive. Now, one thing that we're going to have to work on with Logan is see that kind of whip back and forth. We don't want
Yep.
to have that whip back and forth.
No. You talking about when he's doing this?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, it's like, one, for safety, but two, it's slow.
Yep.
It's so much slower than like two pop strikes.
Right.
So just from this right now, which again, these are brand new sparring, so they're going to be working some brand new sparring things. But that strike right there, where he just boom whips it out, and he didn't get the point, but that was a good strike. And so you follow with that same exact strike, maybe to the other side. Now this is a little bit of another judging mistake. Mr. Lewis should have said stop time, but there was a problem with the scorekeeping.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right? He runs off, and you start the match.
Yep, I should have stopped it. Yep.
Yeah, for 100%, time should have been called because now his whole thing is no C.
Right.
And so whatever points, you're minus a judge. So whatever points are gained here is gained between two judges instead of three. So it's not fair.
Right.
Right, and so like he missed the entire bout there. So like that definitely should have been stopped. So yeah, so I think like both of them did very good in this match. Like I said, a lot of 50-50 trades. Logan obviously came out with a pretty big point, but it was only 9 points, you know, and like that's definitely doable, and like that's not unheard of in any matches, at any of the levels. So like he did very good. He took that shot in the head, and you kind of just see like he's tired right now.
Oh yeah.
And then, like I said, he doesn't take a take. So now we're going to the last match of the night. Here we go. This is our last match between them. All right, so this is one thing I will say. So again, no coaches, no leaders, but if you're on my team and I'm looking at the score and we've got a 7-point lead, I'm telling Evan, don't cross the middle.
Right.
Do not go toward him. Make him come to you. Back up and circle. Like, move around. Don't run away from him because that is against the rules. But like, make him have to come at you, right? Because one, that's going to kill time. Two, the pressure's on him to score, right? And so like, if you just be defensive and just move away from him, just evade. Again, don't run. Can't turn your back. But like, make him come to you. That's going to change. One, that gives you kind of more rest time because we're going to see in this match, he's always going forward.
Right.
And so, like, you're expending the energy. Logan's not expending any energy right now. You're expending all this energy constantly going forward. So you start the match off tired. You constantly go forward, and you just get more tired. And that's where the points start to come back.
This is where he was really tired. He started, instead of using his footwork and staying on his feet, he was walking into Logan.
Yeah, not even running, but walking. So like if I'm either Kinsey or Rashawn, that's what I'm telling them. It's like, hey, we have a point lead. Don't go toward him. Make him come to you every time. And that's what I would have been telling him before the match even started. Right? Like, you kind of see, hey, Rashawn's got a point lead. There's like 10 seconds left. All right, Evan, look, you got a point lead. All right, make him come to you. Play defensively. Stay back. Do not walk toward him. And that could have changed the outcome of this match quite a bit. All right, so they kind of both come at each other. And I would like to see a little variation of strikes, good pressure. I like
Hey, back that up a little bit.
okay.
Watch when Evan and Logan start going to our left. I didn't even notice this, so I'm wondering if Logan got the point because he was out of bounds right there.
Well, so nobody got a point here because you called the points for Logan. Mr. Lewis did a no-see, and Mr. Exum did a block. So no points
Okay.
were actually given.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, like that could be definitely something that you got to. That's actually one of the hardest things to look for when we're in this environment. At an actual tournament, it's incredibly easy because the mats are the ring, and then at the end of the mats is floor. So
Concrete,
they're
Right.
not on the mats, then they're out of
Right.
bounds, right? And that's what makes it harder here.
Yep.
Because like if he just kind of steps out a little bit, you're so focused on the strike or on the weapon and the scoring zones
Yep.
that you don't quite see their foot kind of step out of bounds. But yeah, I mean, nobody got the point there. It was, it was called correctly, so it was fine. But again, they're always fighting on Logan's side of the ring.
Yep.
Immediately, like Evan doesn't even go all the way back, and now kind of as a judge, make sure look where he's starting. He's starting at center point. Now Logan charged in there, which is a good mix up. If you're being defensive, switch it up, be aggressive. But again, they're fighting on that line. They're fighting over there, and now, man, Evan's tired, and you just see how much slower he's going right now. And then now the points are starting to compile. Now I didn't go back and see it. Y'all gave him a jump strike, and I didn't actually ever see the jump. This is like my third time watching it, and I've still never seen the jump.
Oh, hang on, let's see.
Okay, yeah,
it was Logan, yeah. Now I did get 3.
Yeah, and so did Mr. Exum, and like that was a 3-point. That was a jump. That was fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
Now, what I liked from Evan was in his first match, in his match last week against Anakin, he was doing a lot of leg shots. We worked on that in class, and it was like, all right, here's a lot of leg shots. Here's a lot of leg shots. And this match, this is what happens when you get tired. Is he's tired, so now he's just doing the same thing, walking, same strike, walking in, same strike.
Right.
It's kind of where, again, as a team member, trying to say, Evan, stop, Evan, stay back, Evan, stay back. I mean, they got to the point where he needed to go get points, but it is what it is.
Yep.
I've been there. There was a time when I was competing for global champion. This was actually in forms, but I was competing for global champions. 3 hours prior to my competition, I had testing. So I went from testing, right, had like a 2-hour break right into competition. Oof. And then luckily I went second to last in my form. So I got a little bit more of a break, but I did my form. One other person did their form, and we tied. So then I had to immediately do my form again. So I had already done it, and this was on Friday, which I had been started training on Tuesday. So I've been training Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and tested Friday morning, and then did my form, and then immediately, 2 minutes later, I had to do it again. Yep. And I couldn't. There was like no. I got out there and I did my best, but like it was so hard.
That's a lot.
It was so much. And my competitor hadn't done all those things. He didn't do the training. He didn't test. That was his first thing he'd been doing, and he was like 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Maybe like 8 years younger. He was young. He was like 24, and I was 31. But like, man, when you hit that point of just exhaustion and you're just tired, man, it is so hard to finish it out. So props to Evan for finishing the match out.
Like, right.
When you're that tired, you just want to go home. You just want to sit down.
Because I was in that same position, not in competition, but testing in globals. and I was still new to stick sparring, like 4 months in, and I was winded. And so I was just walking, or you're standing still,
Mhm.
letting Mr. Whoever it was come in and strike me. And I was my game was off, and I looked
Mhm.
horrible out there. So being winded definitely takes your game away, makes you
Yeah.
where you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You look kind of tired, run down out there. So yeah, I can understand that. When you're winded, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah. So final thoughts for these two. What have you got for
For Evan, I would say, um, were they up when he came out?
Yeah, so
Okay, so they were up.
they're up, I think seven.
So that's what you're saying. Don't cross the line. Try to make your opponent be the aggressor. You just kind of hang back. Again, when you're not competing, take off your headgear, take your mouthpiece out. If you have to, get some water, hydrate, and recuperate because you're fixing to have to go again. It's very, very important. For Logan, um, I like the aggressiveness. I like the fact that some of the strikes we need to eliminate some of the what do you call it, the wide strikes.
Mhm.
Eliminate those, and kind of know where you are on the mat. I know that's a little harder. It's easier said than done, but a couple times stepping out of bounds, just need to kind of know where we are on the mat. That's my take.
Yeah, I completely agree. For Logan, obviously a fantastic match. I call those tennis swings
Mhm.
because those are your tennis swings. You don't want to do tennis
Backhand
swings.
and the regular.
Yeah,
Yep.
you want quick pops. If that makes sense. So, whenever you're sparring, you want pop pop, not
Mm.
swing swing.
Right.
So, as you're at home working, as you're in class working, take that stick and start trying to work pop, popping the strike, leading with your punch, kind of just punching it out as opposed to drawing back and swing, drawing
Right.
back and swing. That's just going to make it so much easier to get those double hits and like definitively get points.
Yep.
For Evan, I really liked what I saw from him in his match against Damien at the beginning of the first match. Getting winded and everything sucks, and that contributes. But just learning when not to go in. Like you don't always have to be the aggressor. All
Right.
right, this isn't go hit each other. It's like a game of tag, right? If you're playing tag and the other person's hit, you don't want to just like go and try to get the retag. It's not tag 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 tag. You don't ever want that. You want the tag and get away, or if they're it, you don't want them near you.
Right.
So it's kind of, you don't always have to go and trade swings. You can kind of get back, and wait for your opportunity to go in. So just kind of working, just don't go in so much. Sometimes you can wait for them. Um, as a whole, I think both these teams did very, very well in their
Absolutely.
matches. Um, again, I would say somebody on the team needs to be looking at the scoreboard and kind of dictate, like, hey, you need to be a little bit more aggressive. Hey, you need to be a little bit more defensive.
Right.
Maybe get some points, so they'll get points. Or hey, we have a lead, just trying to stay back. Back whenever we were in our old organization, um, when we had team sparring and team six sparring at every tournament, I was on a team with some good friends of mine, Mr. McCraney out of Mobile, Alabama, and Miss White out of Birmingham. And that was kind of like we kind of had the strategy of so back then you had two males and a female on a team. The two females would spar, and then one of the males would go out. They would spar, and then the last two males would go out and they would spar. And so our strategy was, Miss White being a world champion, she'd go in and try to rack up points.
Right.
And then if you got if your team got more points, y'all chose who you wanted to go in second. So we'd
Yep.
see who they sent in, and depending on who they sent in would depend on who we sent in. And Mr. McCraney was the go get points guy. He was the one he loved being aggressive, and that's what was his forte. So we try to get him a good matchup of going in and getting points, and then we would typically give me, like, I would spar their point guy and work just defense, just work staying away, just work staying back, and keeping our point lead that we got. Obviously I could go get points and whatnot, but that was our general strategy. So like, when you're looking at the scoreboard and you're like, all right, it doesn't matter who's sparring. You look at the scoreboard and you say, okay, I either need to get points or I need to maintain points.
Right.
And if you're in the maintaining business, working your defense and working, moving back and then striking can be extremely beneficiary. So like having someone on the team to look at the scoreboard and say, hey, this is what you need to do. Hey, play defensive, play offensive. And, that's going to change a lot in the team, in my opinion.
One thing for both teams to work on that I did notice that I forgot to bring up was I always like to say try to get in and get out. Instead of getting in, is kind of doing this and waiting for break and then separating. Try to get your points, get back out. If you don't get it, reset, kind of figure out what you need to do and try a different strategy. Get in, get out, and try not to get hit.
You definitely see a lot of that. That's a good one. You see a lot of like where they start their offense and it doesn't work. They just keep going. Just keep, if you swing and miss, get out.
Get out and try reset and try something else.
Yeah. So that's gonna wrap it up here for us. I hope everyone got some good tips. This is again a lot more of an analytical breakdown of whenever a good look into whenever I'm teaching and whenever I'm coaching for tournaments or for testing or anything. This is how I watch, and this is how I look, and this is how me and Mr. Hyatt kind of sit and talk about performances, but especially whenever we got to learn, all right, what do we need to work on next testing cycle, or what does this person need to work on for the tournament? Well, we sit down and we watch them spar, and we have conversations exactly like this, and this is what I see, and this is how I think we can work on it.
Yep.
So this is kind of a good insight to some of the more advanced and technical analysis that we like to do. That being said, if anyone has any questions on any of the stick sparring, whether you're on the team or not, anyone watching, if you have any questions on any of the stick sparring tips and tricks that we said, reach out to us.
That's good.
Yeah, we love talking this stuff.
Absolutely.
That's gonna wrap it up here for us. Tune in next Friday for the snow leopards taking on the red pandas.
Looking forward to that.
Very excited about this one. And yeah, see you then.
See you then. Have a good one, sir.